pleasant afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. I am Dexter Yang, your host this afternoon, and welcome to the Philippine Law Journal Induction and Turnover Ceremony. Though most are joining us only virtually here today, we are grateful that we are all able to gather for the journal's first ever hybrid induction ceremony. The Philippine Law Journal is the oldest law review in the Philippines and the oldest English language law journal in Asia. Today, we witness a transition to another term and the continuity of a historic institution that has guided legal practitioners for over a century. Before we formally begin today's program, let us all stand for the Philippine National Anthem to be led by the UP Law Charivari.
Bayang magiliw, pwelas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisihin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw, manilang ang tula at awit sa paglayong minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nanginginig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may maglililim. Lupa ng araw ng walat ipagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang inihaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
You may now be seated. Proceeding with today's special event, please join me in welcoming the Dean of the UP College of Law, Professor Edgardo Carlo Vistan, to give his opening remarks. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Retired Justice Conchita Carpio Morales, our guest speaker, the members of Class 1974, who are collectively the alumni advisors of the Philippine Law Journal, or PLJ as we call our law journal, led by retired Justice Francis H. Hardilesa, and of course, Professor Rafael A. Morales, who is present with us this afternoon in the Malcolm Hall lobby. Professor Rafi Morales is the faculty advisor of the PLJ. Professor Rowena E.V. Daroy Morales, business manager of the PLJ. Other colleagues in the faculty, members of the staff of the UP Law Complex, especially those whose help have been indispensable to the PLJ and the holding of this event. They are led by Army O. Crisostomo, Administrative Assistant, Norma A. Franco, Circulation Manager, and Crisaline Palabay, Coordinator for the Office of the Dean. To all in attendance for this event, a pleasant afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the Philippine Law Journal's Induction and Turnover Ceremony for the incoming Volume 95 Editorial Board. For this ceremony, the first order of business, I believe, should be for us to congratulate the 10 students who made it to the new editorial board. They are led by Lian Calvin Joshua C. Lu, who will be the chair, and Vince Alvic Alexis F. Nonatos, who will be vice chair. They are joined by 8 other members in the person of Arian Christian G. Tapao, Steffi Eunice S. Ramos, Anton Gabriel A. Leron, Maxine Marie C. Mendiola, Keith Richard D. Mariano, Reginel G. Valencia, Ian Anthony A. Manuel, and Joseph Sebastian R. Javier. Congratulations to all of you, for it is no mean feat for you to come out as the top 10 among many other aspirants who dared to go through the tough, competitive examinations given by our examination committee led by Professor Dante B. Gatmaitan as chair, and further comprised of Professor Rafi Morales, Professor J.L. Batombacal, Professor Romel J. Casis, and Professor Paulo Emanuel S. Tamase as members. As you, our students, accept these felicitations on this occasion when you officially assume your responsibilities as PLJ Editorial Board members, I hope you are mindful of the challenges that lay ahead as you work to fulfill your mandate. There are several that I know you are aware of, such as achieving timeliness in publication, improving readership, and digitization. I believe, though, that the biggest challenge for you, our editorial board, is that of capturing the moment in the PLJ issues that you will be publishing. Your moment, the times that you have to capture, is one of transition and hopefully evolution. We are coming from almost 2 years of a pandemic, and by this time, we are seeing governments departing from the restrictive and impoverishing policies that they adopted to supposedly stave off the pandemic. We are coming from a time when our legal institutions, were challenged and, in my opinion, largely overwhelmed. Republican and democratic ideas gave way to non-participative, albeit supposedly expert rulemaking, which in this country was embodied by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, not the first but the most popular IATF the country has ever known. Judicial processes slowed down extremely, such that access to justice was significantly limited. At least two perspectives can be taken here, both equally fertile for legal scholarship. The obvious one could be to consider whether the sacrifices or compromises of Republican and democratic principles as well as human rights were worth it, and whether these could be avoided in the future. The other, less appealing, but for me more courageous approach would be perhaps to assess and redefine the very foundational principles or standards of republicanism, democracy, and rule of law that our legal institutions in this country are supposed to be built upon, especially because for several months, most people were willing to go along with the surrender or compromise of these values during a perceived existential crisis. As I give way to the rest of our program this afternoon, let me remind you, our incoming PLJ editorial board, of one lesson from our recent pandemic years that should prove valuable as you work to fulfill your mandate. And that is the importance of community awareness and cooperation. Every editorial board knows very well that to come out with the issues that are worth the cover of the Philippine Law Journal, the board has to work with others. So seek the advice of our outgoing editorial board led by Chair Paulo Romeo J. Yusi. The Volume 94 editorial board led by Mr. Yusi also deserves our congratulations for accomplishing their work amidst the pandemic. All the issues of Volume 94 are available online, but one issue still has to be printed. I promise the Volume 94 editorial board a separate event for marking the accomplishments of your board, which we will hold once all of your issues are printed. Finally, to our incoming editorial board, please know that the College of Law faculty and alumni, as well as the UP Law Complex administration, are here to support you. Upon your request, the family of the late Alexander Reyes, through his grandson, former Supreme Court Justice Andres Reyes Jr., is prepared to finance the immediate refurbishment of the PLJ room. I have also met with you as College Dean and have shared my views to you. Please be assured that the UP Law community is ready to help you to meet the challenges of your moment. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for this induction and turnover ceremony of the Philippine Law Journal. I wish you all a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you, Dean Vistan, for welcoming our guests today. And as Dean said, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippine Law Journal has not failed to continue its work and contribute to the discourse of legal issues that affect our country today. And for this achievement, we congratulate the outgoing editorial board for their hard work and effort in making this happen. And as we begin to turn over the leadership and responsibilities of the PLJ, let us welcome Mr. Paulo Romeo Yusi, PLJ for Volume 94. Let us give him a warm round of applause.
Former Ombudsman Carpio Morales, Dean Vistan, Professor Morales, faculty members, alumni editors, guests, and students. Good afternoon, and I hope that you're all staying safe wherever you are. I want to begin by congratulating the members of Volume 95 for making it to the editorial board. Membership in the journal's board is perhaps the most important credential that a Filipino law student can ever have. It has launched the careers of many public servants and legal luminaries, so never forget to pat yourselves on the back for what you just achieved. I would also like to say that you are all in great hands with Liam. I like to think that there are two types of journal editors: those who are honestly in it for the resume boost, and those who are in it out of a sheer passion for legal scholarship. After having worked with him for the past year, I can confidently say that Liam is the latter. And I cannot wait to see what you all have in store for this coming year. I must admit that the thought of giving an outgoing speech nearly 2 months after the board has been formed initially felt weird to me. Not only because the current board is already well underway with its term, but also because I never really fancied myself as someone who sought closure for things. In parties, for example, it would not be uncommon for me to make a French exit whenever I would feel that my social meter has run out. In short, medyo ghoster ako. But over the past week, as I have come to terms with the inescapability of my predicament, I realized that closure might not be such a bad thing after all, and that my lifelong aversion towards it was misplaced. That is because closure allows us to do 3 things. First is that it allows us to look back. My acceptance speech last year revolved around the question of whether the journal remains relevant in this day and age. It was a difficult topic to touch upon given the nature of the event, but I felt that it was a discussion that needed to be had. If we are to preserve the legacy and the future of this most storied institution, then we must ensure that the contents of our pages actually matter. If not enough to influence justices and legislators, then at least enough to spark much-needed conversations within the community. And if not enough to spark such conversations, then at the very least, enough to pique the interests of curious readers. Otherwise, we risk affirming the allegations of some that the journal has become a mere bastion of navel-gazing. Fortunately, the past year has proven that those allegations are just that, allegations. For one, our board made the unusual choice of opening the volume with an editor's note instead of a foreword in order to address the prevalence of red tagging at that time. This decision was born out of a collective sense of unease among the editors. We felt uncomfortable churning out one academic work after another while thousands of students, activists, and lawyers were suffering on the ground. And as much as academic legal writing is essentially a never-ending process of rationalization, some matters are just not up for debate. That includes violence and the suppression of free speech. No amount of legalese in the world can make a wrong thing right. Moreover, we published a pair of notes which detailed how lapses in our legal system over the past few decades have legitimized the political comeback of the Marcoses. With the May elections fast approaching and misinformation abound, these notes paint the journal not only as a place for academic discussion, but also as a fortress against historical revisionism. When facts are distorted, it is the job of the journal to remind people of the truth. Much like there is a right way and a wrong way to interpret a legal provision, there is also a right way and a wrong way to appreciate history.
While valued judgments can battle it out in the marketplace of ideas, fake news and established facts cannot. Now, we have done so many other things over the course of our term and published so many other papers, all of which I am equally proud of. But I singled out those two because those were the ones that dispelled any sliver of doubt that I still had from last year. Those were the ones that showed me that the journal is not just still relevant, rather, it has become more relevant than ever. The second thing that closure does is that it allows us to look forward. Much has been said about the supposed incompetence of student-run law journals, and it would be ignorant on my part to say that these criticisms do not have valid points. They do. But if anything, my experience over the past year has only further strengthened my faith in the student-run model. See, the beauty of a student-run law journal is that it subverts the traditional roles of the classroom. It breaks the culture of subservience that Philippine legal education is infamous for and turns student editors into their professors' peers, if not superiors. This arrangement invites students to discuss the law on equal footing with actual lawyers, with no fear of humiliation or embarrassment, which they would otherwise have in a normal classroom setup. No other academic discipline can lay claim to this unusual arrangement. But unusual as it may be, the results speak for themselves. The journal boasts an enviable list of alumni that beats even the most prestigious of fraternities and sororities. They have gone on to become senators, Supreme Court justices, and founders of institutional law firms, among others. When a student makes it to the board, the question is no longer whether or not that person will pass the bar. The question is now which Ivy League school will that person go to in 3 to 5 years' time. The question is now whether that person will be the next dean, justice, or even president of the republic. Now, if that is not the strongest argument in favor of student-run law journals, then I don't know what is. Therefore, I implore the college to please continue supporting the journal moving forward. The success of the journal for the past 100 years has brought glory to the UP College of Law as a whole. And I am sure that that would also be the case for the next 100 years. But that can only be done if professors and practitioners do away with their inherent sense of seniority and give student editors the same respect they would their peers. Treat them as equals, because at least for this purpose, they are. Last but not the least, closure allows us to give thanks. The journal relies heavily on tradition, and tradition dictates that it's the chair who gives both the acceptance speech and the outgoing speech on behalf of the board. From that, it's easy to surmise that the chair is the leader of the board. However, I find this misleading because I am not so much the leader of the board as I am the mere spokesman of a group of amazingly brilliant individuals. So Tucana, Carl, Robert, Justine, Angela, Charles, Kobe, Liam, and Pat, please know that I only stand here today because of all of you. I would not have chosen any other collection of people for that journey, even if I had the chance. It is a shame that only I get to make a speech here today because honestly, all of you are just as deserving, if not more so, of having your time in the spotlight. Now, I'm not really the cheesiest of people, so believe me when I say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for making our Saturdays more fun than they should have been. Thank you for putting up with me at times where even I have found myself to have acted unreasonably in retrospect. And most importantly, thank you for making Volume 94 one of the most memorable parts of my life to date. Congratulations once again to the members of Volume 95. Remember that we will always be here to lend a helping hand should you need it. I also just want to say how happy I am that we finally have a physical turnover ceremony again, and I hope that the food later will not disappoint. With that, thank you very much. Keep safe, and please enjoy the rest of the program. Mamba out.
Thank you, Mr. Yusi, for your message. And again, congratulations to PLJ Volume 94. At this point, honorable guests, I would now like to introduce our keynote speaker this afternoon. She obtained her Bachelor of Arts in Economics in 1964 and Bachelor of Laws in 1968, both from the University of the Philippines. Thereafter, she worked in private practice before beginning her public service with the Department of Justice, where she worked for almost 12 years. She then answered the call to the judiciary, first at the RTC level, then at the Court of Appeals, and finally as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. Over the years, our speaker has repeatedly been recognized for her work in promoting justice and good governance. She was conferred by the UP Alumni Association the Outstanding Award in Championing Justice in the Judiciary for delivering justice with courage and untrammeled integrity, and serving as a shining paragon to all magistrates, worthy of emulation and respect. And after her service in the Supreme Court, she was then appointed Ombudsman of the Philippines from 2011 to 2018. And for her work, she was awarded the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Award for showing the way towards a more coherent, concerted action against corruption. Everyone, I am honored to welcome former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and Ombudsman, Conchita Carpio Morales. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
UP Law Dean Edgardo Carlo Vistan II, distinguished members of the UP Law faculty, fellow students of the law, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon. We gather today at this momentous occasion as the baton, so to speak, of the Philippine Law Journal is turned over from one editorial board to another. Many thanks for the invitation, cordially extended by Liam Calvin Joshua Lu Haba, Chairperson of the PLJ Editorial Board for 2021-2022. Congratulations. The PLJ was founded in 1914. It takes pride with its rich legacy, sustained over year in and year out by a series of brilliant editors, writers, and contributors who have dared to probe the fiery legal issues of the day or dared to challenge the existing. It does not just influence the crafting of judicial decisions or the enactment of statutes. It also advances discourse and sparks dialogues on unsettled issues. Like the previous volumes of the PLJ, I am confident that its volume 95 would be an exciting period to go beyond the borders of traditional legal scholarship as it continues to subject long-held and generally accepted legal precepts to microscopic scrutiny, consistent with the gallant role of any self-respecting law journal. Your leaders would equally be excited to peruse the new crop of thoroughly reviewed articles that are worthy of print and truly deserve a space in the hallowed pages of this esteemed publication. These law articles are expected to dissect both legal and policy aspects of the relevant provisions, oftentimes filling in the gaps which jurisprudence either created or could not momentarily address. Verily, these papers belong to the category of thought-provoking insights that could break new grounds on legal scholarship. Needless to state, they will invariably contribute to the discussion of significant issues that bear upon the respective corpus of pertinent jurisprudence. Paraphrasing what French novelist Victor Hugo once said, nothing gets in the way of an idea whose time has come. Indeed, a more welcoming world should embrace more diverse ideas. After all, the avowed purpose of a law school is to produce lawyers who are not only superior legal craftsmen, but also socially conscious leaders. While doors are being shut almost everywhere, The door to transparency and accountability to the people should remain open and take prime importance, especially since the people's lives and livelihood have been at stake throughout the duration of the pandemic. The people should remain vigilant. The UP Law students should remain vigilant. The editorial board of the PLJ should remain vigilant, with the people rallying behind the rights and concerns of the Filipino people. It is hoped that everyone would be inspired and emboldened to continue adhering to the rule of law and heeding the dictates of justice. A stronger and more vibrant democratic system, especially at this time of election year, would pave the way for a more trustful, truthful, and transparent government under the rule of law. Thus, with felicitations, I urge the members of the new editorial board to gather their inner and collective strength in order to wage another round of battle using their pen, which is mightier than the sword. And I wish the PLJ more power in continuing to ensure that significant legal perspectives see the light of print. Indeed, these legal perspectives must see the light of print, like a lamp that must be placed in the table so that it will enlighten and brighten the entire room. They must not be kept in the dark within the confines of an academic excellence or exercise. They should be published for distillation in the agora of ideas, lest they perish in the dark. Once again, congratulations to the new PLJ editorial board. Thank you for your attention and kind patience. I pray that everyone remains happy, healthy, bright, and hopeful in the years ahead. Keep safe and mabuhay.
Thank you, Justice Carpio Morales, for your inspiring message, and may your words fuel our passion for public service, bolster honor in the pursuit of excellence in the study of law and the legal profession. Again, let us give her a warm round of applause. At this point, we proceed to the formal induction of the Philippine Law Journal's Editorial Board for Volume 95, and to facilitate this, may we call on the PLJ Faculty Advisor, Professor Rafael Morales.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. We, the Chairman, Vice Chairman, members of the Philippine Law Journal, Volume 95 Editorial Board,
We, the Chairman of the Philippine Law Journal, Volume 95 Editorial Board,
accept full responsibility
accept full responsibility,
for the timely publication of 4 quarterly issues
accept responsibility for the timely publication of 4 quarterly issues
the Philippine Law Journal
of Volume 95 of the Philippine Law Journal,
according to high standards of academic legal writing
according to the high standards of academic legal writing
of the University of the
the Philippines College of Law.
We shall devote our time and energy
We shall devote our time and energy to fulfill this responsibility during our term and beyond,
and contribute our talents and skills
in
in the pursuit of honor and excellence in legal research and scholarship.
in the pursuit of honor,
and excellence in legal research and scholarship.
Help us, God.
so help us God.
Congratulations to everyone.
Congratulations to the PLJ Editorial Board for Volume 95. We now invite the Chair of PLJ Volume 95, Mr. Liam Calvin Joshua Liu, to deliver his message on behalf of the newly inducted members of the journal. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
The Honorable Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, Dean Carlo Vistan, Professor Rafael Morales, distinguished faculty members of the college, and fellow students of the law. Good afternoon. I am speaking to you under different circumstances than we normally would. Before, we would hold a grand ceremony with an even grander reception afterwards. Our present situation, however, has forced us to adapt, and fortune has allowed us to conduct this event at least in a hybrid setup. I thank, of course, Attorney Martin Esguerra and his team for their invaluable help in making this event happen. In a word, the College of Law adapts. It continues to reinvent itself with each new challenge thrust upon it. And as the saying goes, we ought to get with the program. The Philippine Law Journal, long the handmaiden of jurisprudence, must move in sync with the college and with the times. We continue to innovate in close collaboration with our mentors and partners. At the same time, the longevity of the journal is due in part to its tradition of excellence. As the current editorial board, our duty is to maintain that quality that the journal has long been known for. Fidelity to legal scholarship and academic integrity has been our abiding principle ever since our founding in 1914. The task of the editorial board now is to strike a balance. We pursue change where change is needed and reform where we are lacking, but continue to hold true to our traditions. The end goal of the editorial board is to take the journal out from the dusty shelves of the ivory tower and bring it once again to the forefront of legal scholarship. It is to further democratize the study of law, so to speak. In this regard, I thank in particular our faculty for continuing to entrust in their students this formidable task of managing the journal. I should dare say that the student-edited Philippine Law Journal is a testament to the caliber and competence of the students that the college trains and produces. The Student Editorial Board is one of the most cherished traditions of the journal and has only uplifted its quality. The opportunity to serve in this editorial board has proven to be a valuable training ground and has produced countless leaders and luminaries over the years. The editorial board does not take these responsibilities lightly. Indeed, as we take our solemn vow today, we commit to serving the journal to the best of our abilities. At the same time, the editorial board continues to explore ways to improve its review process. Input from our mentors is always welcome, and the journal shines best when all its stakeholders work hand in hand towards its development. Writing in the journal's 65th volume, Dean Irene Cortez once lamented that a dearth of contributions plagued the journal. I am cautiously optimistic that 30 years on, with the volume of submissions to the journal this year and the year previous, we may be seeing a reignited interest in legal scholarship. We continue to invite all members of the bar, as well as all students of the law in this country, to continue to deepen the academic literature of the study of law and contribute to the journal. Dean Cortez, in the same article, also made an impassioned plea for a section of law reviews to be set aside for articles of a short, lucid, uncluttered format. Starting with the 95th volume of this journal, the journal is now instituting a word count preference of 20,000 words or under. Understanding that brevity improves rather than restricts writing, the editorial board feels that we may be able to solicit more focused submissions through our policy. This idea, of course, is not ours alone, and I give credit as well to the outgoing Chair Paulo Yusi for the inspiration. The theme for the fourth issue of the 95th volume is human rights during health crises, understanding that even as we begin to see, at least hopefully, the light at the end of the tunnel, we must never forget the lessons learned during the almost 2 years under this pandemic. There can be no two ways about it. The fact of the matter is that the safety of the collective is bound up with the rights of every individual. We institute this themed issue so that future generations will not repeat the mistakes of our era. The Honorable Justice Andres Reyes Jr., grandson of the journal's first managing editor, Justice Alex Reyes, and the Honorable Justice Francis Hardeleza, one of our most esteemed alumni, have committed to renovating the Alex Reyes Room and improving its facilities. We are grateful for the generosity of the good justices, and it is hoped that the Alex Reyes Room may be upgraded in time for the return of the students to Malcolm Hall. During our term, we will also be relaunching the website of the journal. Ever since the Honorable Justice Antonio Carpio gifted the website in 2012, the website has complemented our printed issues as the platform for the journal. A decade on, it has become even more vital in this remote setup. The new website promises to be more researcher-friendly and will facilitate a broader, more public access to the journal. All these we promise to our stakeholders, the faculty, the alumni, the students, and all the journal's readers. The task ahead of us is daunting, to be sure. And I think I speak for the board in saying that we are awestruck by the enormity of the responsibilities laid before us. But I am confident that by the grace of God, we will succeed. Thank you all, and good afternoon.
Thank you, Liam, and congratulations again to PLJ Volume 95. As our program comes to a close, we thank everyone for your presence here today. To our keynote and guest speakers, our attendees, thank you for celebrating both the induction and the historic institution that gathered all of us here today. Congratulations again to the Editorial Board, and we look forward to seeing you uphold the high standards of excellence that have guided the journal over the past century. To officially end our program, I'd like to invite everyone to please stand as we welcome back the UP Law Charivari to lead us in the singing of the UP Naming Mahal.